being an entrepreneur is not a piece of cake, literally. And I have really learned it the hard way. Like I always feel, it's a glamorous life out there. No, it isn't. It has a lot of, stones and pebbles and everything like paved for you all throughout the way. So that being said,
Today we have someone who is a multiple startup founder, having completed his computer science from the University of Bristol, and is now the Warwick Incubator technology mentor. Hi Tushar, thank you so much for being a part of Life After University and sharing your startup journey after university, having finished your studies from Bristol. Tell us a bit more about yourself, your different startups, and what are you up to at the moment?
okay. So first of all, Shivika, thank you for having me on the platform, and thank you to those guys as well. So at the moment, I'm a co-founder of two companies called Cognexa and Aiotize, and on the parallel, I have one startup based out of UK called Alpha AI, and at the same time, I have a regional office for the same in India as well. So at Aiotize and Cognexa, like those are parent and child companies for now because like all like the whole management team is the same. So we just treated parent and child that way. So what we're trying to do is we are using, we are trying like at Aiotize, we're leveraging all the hardware, IoT, and all the robotic systems, robotic arms, or whatever we can get. So it's more like a hardware-oriented company. And at Cognexa, we are developing an AI-oriented, uh, cognition core. So what happens is all the hardware that is manufactured, sourced, or produced at Aiotize is directly linked with the Cognexa core. That is the AI-based engine. So it could be, streaming telemetry data. That is all the data you get from different sensors. It could even be your Fitbits, and it could even be your Apple devices, your any smart wearables, or your laptops or cell phones as well. So all the data that we can accumulate could be sent to the engine, and it could give you all the data insights around it. And on similarly, if it's video streams, so it can capture all the integral data points from CCTV devices or any video streaming services that you have, and those can be linked with the engine, and again it gives you the analytics around it. Like it can count the number of people from the basic steps like counting people, vehicles, vehicle numbers, any numbers. Like it could be vehicle health also, like for example if there are dents on a car, you can detect it. At the same time, we were also doing some kind of demos, CRPF, that is one of the defense forces for India. So we were doing a prototype with them also just to see how this platform might work with them on the front lines. At the same time, we are also trying to do some analysis around how solar panels could be analyzed through a satellite image or through drone imagery. So again, the hardware source from Aiotize and the whole smart system is being developed through Cognexa. So these are the two companies that I'm a co-founder with, and the sole company that I own, Alpha AI. So at Alpha AI, uh, I have divided Alpha AI into four different verticals for myself, making it really easy because my background and expertise is more towards AI research and strategizing and implementing technology. So that's my forte. So the four areas at Alpha AI include, research, like the daily to-do things that we, like I do and the team does.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's basic software development. But again, what differentiates us from the other development companies is we are not making any apps or web applications just for the sake of it. So our perspective through that is that we need to develop data-driven products. Like whatever product requires a lot of data insights or leads to a lot of data generation and data manipulation, that is the kind of products we need to work on. So that my research team is also always on their toes, and the developers are also equipped with the emerging technologies and emerging standards and trends. Like in the coming time, everything's going to be data insights and how data analytics and data science is used. So all my web developers and app developers are also equipped with the knowledge and know-how of how data science products would be built. So that is why that's one of the divisions. And the last one that we're trying to leverage, and it's still under speculation, is the an incubator that we planned. So it's more about a digital digital virtual business incubator. And through that, what we really want to do is we are not there to mentor you based on what we think is right, is the right fit for you. So we want to evaluate your business ideas. We want to see, like, what's happening in the market at the moment. How can we correlate your ideas with the emerging trends, and how we can establish yourself into the market, and how can we assist doing that. So that involves providing you technical solution, maybe helping you build a brand around whatever products you have, and at the same time helping you with lead generation and social media marketing, because that is one of the trends yet again.
Yeah.
So th- I thought this was going to be a small summary, but again, whatever it is, so this is the summary of what all I have been up to for now.
Wow. So you have like a lot on your plate at the moment. How are you managing all of this? Like, do you have segregated timings to each of these, or do you just go with the flow?
Okay, so all the things that you mentioned are interlinked right now. So
Yeah.
I'm probably doing everything. So I have been trying to keep up, and because of my habit of keeping up with technology, I just keep reading every day, anything that's possible. I want to know. So it's not that I'm a specialist in it, but it's like I just have a habit and a hobby of continuously improving. So
Mhm.
that is why I just go with the flow because of that. And other than that, I'm really fond of Elon Musk and the way he framed the word called time boxing.
Right.
So in one of his interviews, he used the word time boxing. So I really got fond of it, and I implement that during the day as well, to an extent, not throughout.
Yeah.
So between sort of from 8 a.m. to at least 6 p.m. or so, I really time box my time. So devoting 2 hours to Aiotize, maybe 1 hour for Cognixa, and then 4 5 hours for Aiotize, and then sparing 2 3 hours just for video calls and catching up with all the progress and updates, and then maybe 1 hour for just writing some documents or mails and just sticking to it. So
Yeah.
that's more like my daily routine based on how I'm going to prioritize things. So
Right.
time boxing is more towards how you prioritize working on either of these projects. Like whatever requires priority, you time box it accordingly.
Now that you mentioned in the beginning that you gave like a disclaimer saying that entrepreneurship is not a piece of cake, and you just explained it why. Because most people think that this is something that brings in a lot of flexibility and ownership and whatnot, which is true, but with that comes accountability. And I'm sure that there's nobody who told you, you need to time box the share, or nobody who told you that this is what your priority is. But with accountability comes with entrepreneurship comes accountability, and I think you have to hold yourself accountable as to what you want to spend your time on, where you want to spend your time on. And yes, it's not a
Precisely.
piece of cake. You have to keep learning. Consistency has been something that you are professing for, and you're like, I have been reading every day, updating myself and updating my skills and everything. And that is what really, really matters at the end of the day if you want to be an entrepreneur. And because you mentioned that, one thing I'd like to ask you is, like you said, it's not a piece of cake, but then there's a section that glamorizes entrepreneurship at an altogether different level, saying that it's the new big thing. Everybody wants to quit their jobs and do their thing, no matter what's on their mind at that moment. And then dropping out of college is another thing that students opt for, having looked at Mark Zuckerberg creating that image that, yeah, that's the way forward. But you having completed your studies, what would you advise to students who are in university, saying that how does the university experience shape an aspiring entrepreneur for the future?
See, in my opinion, I plan to drop out twice. One is during my undergrad back in India, and the second time, obviously, in the UK.
Hmm.
Right. So during both the times, I was really working on some groundbreaking startups. So
Yeah.
initially, like I'll just give you an example. So recently, if people are following Amazon, Flipkart, and Walmart, the e-commerce battle that's happening down south in India. So recently, they started out with hyper local markets. That is more towards how you could start commercializing e-commerce and benefiting from it on a local level. That is, if just on a district or a city level. So that is how you build up ground. That is how you build systems ground up. So I probably started working on it back in maybe 2013, 2014 when I was in my undergrad. we eventually, like throughout Chandigarh and the Tri-City, like Chandigarh, Panchkula, and Mohali, that's the Tri-City in India, right? So we literally went across all the possible shopping areas, all the places where you could have those financial transactions. We had all of them listed, and all of them were on board, and we were planning to launch a hyperlocal market commerce platform way back then. But again, why it didn't mature is that majority of my teammates, we were all some of them were from business families, some of them were really struggling coping up with academics, but were good with people skills. So we were a team of around 7 to 8 people. Some of them were technically sound, some of them could bring in the money in, like the business families. At the same time, some of them were really good with people skills. Like they literally didn't know anything about technology or whatever was happening academically, but again, they were good with skills. Like they converted people to come on board.
Yeah.
Right. But having this weird mix of people as a management team, and the way we had planned to start off, so it failed because they were poor with academics. They didn't have the uh, they didn't really want to focus more towards their core foundation, which would have led them to understand the maybe drawbacks or cons we might have faced while building that platform.
Yeah. So you do give good amount of importance to academics and saying that university is important for aspiring entrepreneurs. It's not something that you can drop out of, and a Mark Zuckerberg doesn't happen every night. It's like an exception.
Thing is, even if we want to pave them as exceptions, I'll just give you an example. Mark Zuckerberg, he built the technology before dropping out.
Yeah.
So he was technically sound, like he didn't need anything else. And the way Facebook was being used, he didn't have to go and sell it somewhere. So even if he lagged in people skills, he didn't need anybody to compensate for it.
Right.
Right. And if it was Bill Gates, then Paul Allen and Bill Gates both were had people skills. At the same time, they also developed a lot of products prior to coming to Harvard.
Yeah.
Right. So all of these examples that we have, they already had the technology, they had the skills, they had built it by themselves from the beginning itself.
Right.
But in our scenario, what happens is people take them as role models and examples as they're dropped off, and we'll do the same and we'll do wonders. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like what credibility do you have? What are the skills that you're going to bring on the table? What is it exactly? So
Right.
these people are going to drop maybe 6 months down the line and saying that we want to start a business, we have money, we've arranged for it, but do you have the mindset to do it?
Yeah.
Those people had been working on code for last 7 to 8 years. That is what the skill set was.
Right.
Like even for myself, like as I initially mentioned, I have been slogging off in terms of doing something or the other since childhood.
Right.
Right. So I am adept to working in technology and putting in hours and just experimenting with things. Not everybody can do it.
True that.
So my objective through all this discussion is that the pursuing your education and everything is just going to lay the foundation of what really needs to be understood on the ground level, and that is how you learn that there is a potential gap, and that is where I can learn and build up on top of it. Like during my undergrad, what happened, if we were supposed to do some industry oriented trainings, I used to go, instead of one, I used to go in for two or three.
Right.
Right. So I was expanding my horizon, but I wasn't compensating with the one I had to do. Right. So rather than skipping on that one, I was doing three.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So the sole objective here is widen your horizons. It could happen prior to you going to for your studies, or it could happen while studying, or it could happen after you're studying. But without having that kind of a mindset, there's no point thinking that we'll drop off, or we can just start anything at any moment. That doesn't happen.
True. And I think the kind of the foundation that university gives you will not come from anywhere else, like you mentioned. So it's very important to create that solid foundation before you even venture out to anything. And having said that, what would you say as entrepreneurs, as aspiring entrepreneurs who are students right now in universities? What would you say is the one thing that they should be prepared with to begin with? The one skill or the one thing that they need to know when they start out?
See, One thing I won't say that's one thing. One like if you're sticking with one thing, it's gonna be that it's gonna be a hard grind.
Right.
So you need to be mentally strong. Like don't say that 2 months down the line, no, everything's not working out. I don't know. Maybe I should look out for a job or something like that.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be getting into that retrospective mood altogether. So
Mm-hmm.
even if I have faced failure, maybe yesterday I ended up having some conversations with people and it wasn't in my favor. But that doesn't imply that I have a gloomy face throughout the day and I'm screwing up over my projects,
Yeah.
right? So it's like whatever happens, just move on. Like life's short, opportunities are enormous there if you just open your eyes in that direction.
Yeah.
And if you yourself want to venture out, you just need to, have the vision and the mindset to do it. That's it.
That's absolutely true. And talking about the mindset, the pandemic has affected the mindset of people so much to an extent that so many have lost hopes, so many have given up on their careers, so many have given up on so many different plans, and it's the same for everyone. It has affected everyone equally in different aspects of life, but has affected. So how do you feel that the pandemic has affected the student life? You've been in the UK, you've studied there, uh, pre-pandemic, and now is the new normal. So how do you think it has affected the student life? What is the new normal for the students, and what would you say is are the new options available for students to pursue in terms of having a successful career?
For me, what I'd suggest, like I really didn't have a student life per se, so I was more towards staying back at my place or the libraries, studying or something like that. So that is how I really spent my time. But for my friends who are still out there, who probably went on for another masters or something like that, so for them, it has changed only to a minimal scale. Reason being, if the courses are pretty intense, then probably you never even got chance to venture out into, just going here and there. So only thing is, it has this pandemic has just spoiled your travel plan.
Yeah.
Other than that, I believe nothing else has been spoiled. Like initially, majority of us were using Blackboard, weren't we?
Yeah.
So all the video lectures were already there. We were equipped mentally that, if we are skipping out on lectures, we could just go to Blackboard, download it, or maybe, watch the sessions, make our notes, and we're done. And
Yeah.
we were mentally equipped that we have to do some self-study. So
Right.
if somebody is saying that, because of this pandemic, I'm not able to study or focus, then I believe they're mistaken.
Yeah.
Even now, if you look at the opportunities, yes, jobs might be scarce given this pandemic and the how the economy is being affected globally, but that doesn't imply that the opportunities are less.
Right.
The only thing is you just need to be calm, be composed, and uh, you know uh, have a mindset to think further rather than what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. So if you think 4 5 months down the line, like what kind of plans do you need to have, or how you will be prepared to counter that.
Hmm.
So I can just give you an example of the tech industry because that's what I'm from.
Yeah.
So even if artificial intelligence or anything, right? So you have enormous amount of courses online. I also did. I have done around 50, 60 courses online prior to my masters.
Yeah.
Right? So you know, things are immense. Like I'm also offering remote internships at the moment. So like that's one opportunity. There are many companies out there who are offering the same thing. But only thing is, people. What the issue I'm facing is a skill deficit. People are not skilled enough to actually work remotely also on our project. So that's the issue I'm facing.
Yeah.
It's not that people are getting opportunities. I am also offering opportunities, but again, the issue is skill deficit.
Yeah.
Be it for business development, be it financial analysis, be it data science, or be it just research in AI or web development.
Right.
People are lacking in skills.
Yeah.
So people need to have a clear mindset as to what do they really need to rant about.
Hmm.
Do they want to rant about not having opportunities, or do they want to rant about we do not have skills? Help us that way. So, what do you need help with? Opportunities or skills?
I think that's a very, very important point you mentioned there. The fact that you need to choose what you want to rant about. Not having enough opportunities or not being skilled enough to fulfill and be part of those opportunities or take up those
Exactly.
opportunities. And
Exactly.
upskilling is so important in today's time, keeping in mind the fact that things are changing so fast. I mean, everything is so rapid. Every new day you're getting so much new information that you're like, you'll always feel you're lagging behind. So it's important to be up to date, to upskill and to learn new skills, and be willing to learn. I mean, that's very, very important, I think, as entrepreneurs, and even not as entrepreneurs, whatever profession you're in. It's so important to learn. I mean, every other day there's some new algorithm that can change things in a different way. And then you're like, okay, I need to learn this. But the
Right.
willingness to do that is very important. And like you said, there's ample opportunity as long as you're ready to learn and upgrade and upskill. And the biggest thing is there's so much resource available online. You only have to make use of it. I mean, there's so much available. If you're ready for it, YouTube
Exactly.
has so many videos. I learned social media. I don't come from a marketing background. I learned social media marketing online. Udemy did it for me. And then I've been watching so many videos, following so many people who talk about it, who teach it on a daily basis. And then so many free classes. I mean, even if you're not ready to pay for something, which is fine, there's so many free classes. So I think students and others need to make use of all these free resources, all these free classes that take place online. And especially there were so many discounts around the lockdown for everyone to learn new skills and take up different courses. And I saw prices go down like crazy. And if somebody really wanted to make use of that opportunity, they would have taken up a few courses or just one for that matter.
Right.
And then I've upskilled, learned something new, even if that meant tech, marketing, or business development, or any other thing that they really enjoy doing. So I think it's more about uh, being willing to do it. People keep telling about all these things. Most people don't listen, and then they have the two different kinds of rants. I don't have the skills, or there's not enough opportunity. But it's about what are you doing about it? Are you
Exactly.
ready to learn new skills? Are you ready to spend some time of your day to upskill, to hone what you already have? Or if you're ready to have 2 hours of ranting saying there's no opportunity or there's no work available, or maybe when the pandemic will get over, I will start doing something. And
Exactly.
it kind of irritates me when I see people do that, because I know for a fact that there's so much resource available and I've been using it myself. I mean, most of the things I'm doing today I've learned online. I'll be honest with you. I was never taught all of that in university. Moreover, because of the fact that I come from a different background altogether. So I did my master's in international relations. I'm into a fintech startup right now and I had no knowledge of that. All I did was read online, make use of the available resources, and find out about myself that what is it that I'm good at, and then upskill it. So you have to make that effort to do it instead of spending time crying about the fact that there's nothing for you, or the pandemic changed
Right.
the world for you, but you were all set to do something awesome in life. But it was the pandemic that
Right.
really affecting you not learning the skills. Now that we come to the end of the conversation about skills and about your entrepreneurial journey and how students can make use of their university life and the things that they can learn during their student life, what is that one tip, one advice you would give to any graduating student who wants to be an entrepreneur or just in general as well?
See, thing is, I run my daily routine with just one saying. That, like maybe I copied it or maybe I just came up with it. Like I don't know the origin of it, but it was in my head. So I've been using it almost every day for last couple of months, and that is try harder, fail faster, and move on before you try again.
Right.
And that is pretty simple. Just try as hard as you can, fail as fast as you can, so that you can just and don't keep it in your head. Move on.
Oh, yeah. And
Just try tons of things. Whatever strikes. But at least you've tried it.
yeah, and I think that was very nice, short, crisp, and such a valuable advice for anyone. And I always tell people, even if you fail, don't give up. It's the time to pivot then. I mean, don't feel that
Right.
what you were doing doesn't make sense. It might not, but there must be something in it that does make sense. So you just got to
Right.
pivot to that side of things and then start focusing your efforts and attention to that. And
Right.
to that, we end this conversation. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for this amazing little short advice that you gave to all the students watching this. I hope people take this seriously and not use the pandemic as an excuse to say that the year has gone in vain. I don't believe that. It was not a waste if you made use of it. Definitely, it has affected people, and we're not denying that. But as students, this is the time again, the last 1 month is again the time to upskill, to make choices, to start the new year with a better mindset, with a more organized set of skills that you want to learn or take up, and then things will look more positive, I feel.
I probably couldn't agree more. So people just need to, stop thinking and just go for
Go for it, start doing.
it. Exactly.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Tushar, for your time. Thank you so much for
Likewise. Thank
sharing
you for having me
your
here.
experiences.
Cheers.